Hello everybody, come check this one out. Oh, that sun's bright, don't mind my lawn. It's freaking middle of winter and I ain't touching it, alright? I painted this little picture. Boop. There it is. Beautiful, isn't it? Let's have a look and see how it's done and listen to some of the rubbish I talk while doing it. Alrighty, I just wanted to show you something that you can use in your arsenal to create something out of nothing, to use your artistic vision, all that kind of airy-fairy stuff. Something to push the light, a different kind of composition. You know, this is essentially a made-up scene. I think I did one of these a couple of years ago and it looked pretty cool. Just the car coming over the horizon, over the hill or something, you know. That's all. Nothing special, but what we can do is we can make it really effective by just mucking around with a few of the elements, that's all. So I'm going to get a big soft brush, just throw a bit of water around. Now it's going to be really loose. I want to keep this nice and brief. You can get on with your day. But let's not make the sky too strong because we want to push the light, and whenever we want to push the light, as in the contrast between light and dark, it's a good idea to keep your sky or your light source really strong. Like strong light, not too heavy as far as tone goes. Keep it really bright is what I'm trying to say. God, get your sentence out, boy. All right, underneath wash. Let's have a look. What can we do here? Something stupid. Let's go. Actually, let's just do the ground first. Let's go nice and warm. I've just got, you can see I've got muck on the palette, you know, bit of burnt sienna, a bit of raw sienna here just for a bit of warmth, but obviously it'll all trail off to bugger all once it dries off. So don't be too frightened to push it. Now, that's all good. Now, we got some silly colours. It's not a silly colour, it's a nice colour, but it doesn't fit in context. But you know what? Let's muck around with it. Let's put an underneath wash of something silly. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now let's do this colour. Dragon's Blood. It's a Mayberry blue colour. Lovely. The Mayberry blue paints are actually really good. If anyone's seen them around, they're the Italian single pigment colours. I am slowly but definitely surely falling head over heels for the bastards. Really nice colours. And look, there's not much else that we need to do with this first wash, to be honest. It's all just stuff, you know, to get us going. So I'm going to dry it off, and obviously this demo is in real time, so I'll mute the microphone so you don't have to listen to the drying off process, but I'll keep it real so you know exactly what's going on. Now, sort of making this up, so what do? We put some information in the background, just flat, you know, pushing something back, so we'll do it nice and cool. Yeah, let's have a look. Making it up. brush with a nice point is imperative. Now I'm making this up just to read buildings and whatnot, you know. Nothing too definite, nothing too precise, just something there. So we've got a bit of stuff, good stuff. We always want to push things back. I mean, I do anyway. Look, I take care on YouTube as far as your information goes. Don't take everything you hear from everybody, including myself, as gospel. People can only really impart with any kind of authority the way they themselves do things. And there's kind of no right or wrong. You find your way and use this stuff that myself and 5 million other watercolour YouTubers put out there. Use it as inspiration to find your own voice and your own methodologies. And whatever you do, don't get bogged down into doing things the one way all the time. Don't become a formula painter. You don't want to be a formula painter. Geez, the term itself sounds boring. You know? Formula, yay. But no, look, it's learn the rules and break them, basically. Same as anything in life. It's only painting. It's not the be all and end all of life. Let's have a look. Let's put some kind of crane. I don't know. Hanging on to something. I don't know. Maybe just put it on and killing it so it's not too intrusive later on. Now this brush, I know you're going to ask about it because it's very pointy. It's a Princeton Velvet Touch, the long round. I freaking love it. I love it. You'll see it kind of almost negates the need for a rigger. It's so long and pointy, which is handy in most things watercolor. It's great. Yeah, I'm just making sure that I don't want to end up with any awkward hard edges here. This bit I don't mind because it's going to be darker, but as far as the edge there goes, I just want to make sure that it's all going to make sense later on, you know. Don't want to have it die because I just haven't thought to take care of a silly edge, you know, because it's never going to look as fresh if you have to correct and all of that kind of stuff. That was the chair, by the way, in case you heard that. There we go. I don't know what that is. Doesn't matter. It's just tone. Tone. All right. Let's get bigger brush, slightly bigger. Yeah, I've got to spray me paints because it's a bit, I've got the heater on in here, so the room is slightly warm. So you know what happens? Paint dries out, no shit Sherlock, but also everything dries quicker on your page. So it kind of forces you to paint quickly, which is good. I've seen sort of lots of people wet the back of their paper and all of that stuff, which is all fine. You can do it. It will give you a bit more time, but life's short and you're better off trying to push yourself to paint quicker. Don't labour over it. Don't labour over things that you don't have to, honestly, because watercolour is at its best when it's direct and fresh, in my humble opinion. Just making these buildings up. It's all made up in my head, this little picture. But I want you to try it. I want you to try it because it'll be a good way for you to test and experiment with different light and abstraction as well. Like this stuff over here that I'm painting it's just going to be abstract. It's abstraction, pure and simple. You know, we're taking a building, we're going, well, what are the elements of a building? Well, all of this, you've got little bits that hang off it, you've got little bits that are windows or could be windows. You've got, let's have a look. Let's put a few repetitive dots and dashes here and there so it does give us an impression of some kind of windows, some kind of building elements. I think when the shapes are dry, I will I'll put a few, like maybe flag poles or something. I'm just trying to think of things that are in the city. You know, in cities, look around, look up, street lights, all that sort of stuff. Look up, have a look, be observant about what's going on around you. The more you can observe, the better your paintings will turn out, because you're observing and reacting to what's around you. You're not just blindly copying something that's in front of you like you are with your reference photos. A lot of people get tied to their references. I know whenever I give workshops, people are so freaked out that with the references, and they go, oh, how am I ever going to do all that? Well, you're not going to do all that. Save you the hassle. Give you permission to use your artistic license, change things. Use your references as inspiration, jumping off points. You know, you do not have to do everything like your reference. And that's even if you're working from a photo, yes, but even if you're, and especially actually if you're out painting outdoors, which by the way is the best way to learn, is to go and paint outside. But you have to treat it. You can't put everything in. Like if you're painting outside on location, you can't put everything in. You can't. It's physically impossible. So you have to edit, and you have to keep things out and put things in or move things around to make your composition better. So ultimately, you have to treat your reference photographs like that too if you're painting from photos. So don't get bogged down, just use your creativity. People forget. We forget. We're it's bashed, well, not literally, hopefully. It's discouraged out of us as kids to, you know, we're taught to colour within the lines. And, you know, I'm here to say that you don't have to. I give you permission, not that my opinion matters, but, you know, just tell them someone else told you to do it this way. And you'll never actually do anything wrong. You'll never make a mistake, because it's just the way it is. It's your artistic vision. Don't get bogged down thinking that you have to find your artistic vision. It's all a bunch of rubbish. Your artistic vision is already inside you. You just have to relearn it. That's all. I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, whoopie-doopie, you know, crystal rubbing bullshit, but I guarantee you, as soon as you can get your head around the fact that you don't have to make everything perfect and quote-unquote correct, the better your paintings will be. Alright, cool, coming together. What I want to do here now is, I was going to do the cars, No, I'm going to dry it off quickly, just a little bit, just so I can see how things are going. I think it's definitely giving us that look going back, and that all comes from the tone and the softness of edges. See how I threw some water around here and there, just to soften up some edges. But I just want to give this a bit of a dry, a bit of a clean up. Alright, that's all I really needed to do, is just that little bit of stuff. Now this is not really dry yet, but so I'm just going to give a few little scrapes here and there with the card. Not that it's doing much because it's dried sufficiently, but that's good. You don't want it, when you do this sort of scraping and things, you don't want it to be too obtrusive. I'm sorry. All right, some cars. Greys, ultramarine, burnt sienna, various mixtures of. It's always a really good way to go. A bit more ultra, I want to be cooler. These cars are obviously parked over the crest of this hill. So we're not painting entire cars here, we're painting almost the entire car. But we need to give that impression of the cars being over the hill. We need to make sure this line, that is the horizon, so to speak, the crest of the hill. We need to make sure it's nice and crisp. Otherwise it won't read properly. If we go down and make that line sort of, intrude on that crisp, straight edge, you'll lose the effect of the cars being over the hill. Yes, I believe. And certainly appearing that way. What I'll do, just a bit of water, spatter on there, just to break up the washes a little bit. So you still don't want to paint things in a static, boring fashion. I'm pretty sure you don't anyway. Why would anyone want to paint boring pictures? Yet I see them everywhere. And people seem scared of just letting go. Let go. Play. Have fun. And paint some nice, exciting pictures. Let's not be too boring. Boring's easy. Boring means that you're copying something out of a book, which is all fine for learning. Look, don't get me wrong when I say this stuff. I'm just trying to give you hints to progress in the right direction. So don't get me wrong, but you've got to know when to get rid of the books and get rid of painting along with demonstrations like this, and you go and find a subject, think about it, and put your own spin on it. Just work and use your own artistic imagination and go nuts. So this here, this little dark is good. So I'll bring that all the way across. Now I'm looking there, I actually like that. I like how that's looking there. Nice. It's reading like it should. So it's cool, just break that bit up as well. People always think that I'm shoot myself in the foot. You know, it's my living teaching watercolor. It's how I make a living and feed the family and all that kind of stuff. And so to seemingly be encouraging people to let go of lessons, it's not really what I'm doing. What I'm more so doing is encouraging people just to, while they're learning, think about things for themselves as well. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to dry off completely, so that I can use the tonal values here that I've got once it's dry, because remember the drying shift, it's going to look lighter when it's dry. Use the tonal values that are there once it's dry to judge everything else. But yeah, almost done. So it's pretty much dry. Drying shift wasn't huge, which is great. So that means you're on point with your tonal choices. So a couple of things I want to do. It's a nice crispy shadow that I'm envisaging underneath the car. I'm going to put a bit of a glaze down here on the road surface. Now, it's a little bit, it's not 100% necessary, but I want to get a couple of things in place, and you'll see what I mean in a second as to why I'm doing it. Now, really light. So let's have a think. I've got nice and warm here, so I want a really cool grey, and it's going to be very light, so you can see that in the palette how watery that is, and look, it's watery, so it's still really light. So I don't want to lose any of the impact, but what I want is what a nice straight line for a start. Something like that. And let's have a look. Whatever. Only has to be one. Don't get tempted to do more of these than you need to, because it'll quickly just look cheap and amateurish. So only do what you have to do. Don't do what's there. So that's not too bad. That's going to be dark. What I want to do here is just tissue out a little bit along that horizon, just that inch or so under the horizon, just to make sure that it's light enough. So that's good. So I will dry that now, because I want this to be perfectly dry when I do this car and the little figure, and then we'll finish it off with the icing and we'll be right. Alright, let's get this figure and car going and get on with our days, shall we? So, don't get tempted whenever you're doing figures. Try not to get too tempted by the thought of making them too complete and realistic, for want of a better term. You want to make sure that they fit in with the kind of picture you've got. You know, with this one, so for example, if I was If I was painting a couple of friends walking along a street in the back streets of friggin' somewhere in Europe, in Greece or something, and they're in an alleyway and it's summertime, and I'd put shorts and a stripy white top on them or something, you know, that's one thing that would work. Where perhaps this style of figure wouldn't work. A nice bright sunny day, but this kind of thing where it's sort of gritty, industrial, make your figures make sense and fit in. So silhouettes, and they're cut off at the hill, which instantly makes them look like they're coming up the hill, or they're getting out of car, going to their car, or whatever. I don't care about those details, but make sure they fit. Bit of water in the windscreen. And dot things around a bit. Doesn't have to be too precise. You kind of don't want things to be too deliberate when you're painting like this. You want this impression of what we're doing, not a clear, accurate representation. You want an impression. And to me, that's telling me it's a windshield so far, so that's good. Here's where you can kind of give your car a bit of a colour if you want to. Because it's the main car, all of that, you can. I'll do it, but only really subtly. I never want it to be a strong, bright, vibrant colour. It just looks funny to me. But that's alright. Might not look funny to you, and that's okay. So all I'm really concerned with here is getting this shadow, this front of this car, nice and dark underneath there. Let's do something like that. And our tyres. Remember the tyres, when they're coming towards us, are going to be square along the bottom. Looking good. Yeah, there's a little mirrors or whatever there. That's fine. There's the bloke driving, just a shadowy figure. Maybe it's OJ on the run. Oh, sorry, too soon. Right, so look, it reads as a car. It's all very neat, which, you know, whatever, that's fine. But what I could do is just splash a bit, let a bit run. But here's what I'm really looking forward to here. Yeah, gotta make a shadow colour. So quite cool, sort of on the bluer side. But here's what I want to do first, though. As I look at that, I just need to make these wheels match a bit in their width. So they didn't there for a second, but that's okay. I'm getting bogged down. Here we go. So shadow, I reckon this will be alright. So nice and crisp. You want it nice and crisp. So across and joining from the actual wheels. You can see already I haven't embellished the shape, but just putting that there makes a shit ton of difference. About there. Something like that is cool. Now let's just embellish that a tiny bit. Yeah, that's good. Happy with that decision. Sweet. Alright, cool. That's good. That's good. I'm a happy Vegemite with that. Now, before I do anything else down here, which I will, just going to start putting some little bits of icing on this bloody cake. Let's do some thicker paint, thin brush, not much of it on the brush. Nice and confident. And you can even put a couple of those in, one further away. Yeah. Yeah, just putting stuff, just stuff to make it read a certain way. Give it a bit more depth and a bit more distance. You know, nothing too outlandish. Bit of dry brush. Let's have a look at her. Where's a colour? Something like that. Some flags. Flagaroos. We're almost done. Few dots of red. Why not? Yep, I'm resisting the urge, and it is an urge, absolutely an urge, to invent a shadow coming from over this way. But I'm not going to do it. This is about thinking outside the box and yeah, resisting that urge. Don't always just go with your very first thought. Have a think about it. If you still want to do it, do it. But if you don't think it'll benefit, don't do it. That's fine. Now, just going to put a little bit of sort of opaque kind of paint there in the headlights, just so that it'll melt in a bit and bleed and soften. And but I might put a little bit of white in there in a second. Pretty happy with that. Does need a couple of birds flying around the city. This made up little city of ours. It's fine. Yeah, I'll just dry that off because I'm worried about that shadow. Won't be a sec. A tiny little bit of white paint. Don't have to do too much else. And you don't want to do too much in the way of this opaque colour. This is obviously a stylised picture. It's not a realistic thing by any stretch. It's definitely a stylised piece, but you can see how it can work when you push the light, push the stuff that's important. And this is just a couple of little directional lines similar to this side, but you can see how just putting those there makes that shadow be really transparent, and that's good. So let's have a look. Let's take the tape off and we'll see what we've got. I mean, it's not going to be a masterpiece by any stretch, but that's all right. It doesn't matter. Not every painting is going to be our life's work. You know, it's not that important. You go in and you learn with every painting that you do. That's the goal. That is the objective, is to learn every time. So I like it. You tell me in the comments what you reckon, what you think of it, and what you enjoyed and what you'd do differently. I'm happy and enthusiastic about engaging with that kind of thing. So please let me know. But thanks for watching, and make sure you leave a comment, share, like, all that sort of stuff. Subscribe to the channel, share it with your mates, and that'll be tops. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers guys, see you soon. Bye. Oh!